My tolerance for Marvel films ebbs ever lower, so I suppose you'll have to bear that in mind as a framing device as we delve into the 21st of them, which by this point have all blended to a fine interchangeable puree in my mind. But to shortcut some framing devices, Captain Marvel is the story of Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, nee Carol Danvers, introduced to us as an amnesiac elite soldier of some bunch of aliens or other, in the middle of a war with some other bunch of aliens or other, stranded on Earth in the 1990s after a mission goes awry. After some initial disbelief, she teams up with Sam Jackson's young Nick Fury to fight the shape-shifting Skrulls who have followed her to Earth on the trail of some lightspeed engine or other, and along the way they will uncover the secrets of her past, the origin of her powers, and the truth about who she's fighting for and against. Now, on multiple occasions I've tried and failed to get more involved with running our Twitter account, and Captain Marvel is a pretty good example of why that never sticks. I have no interest whatsoever in recapping any of it, but a few things stick in my craw that do need to be addressed. First, if you're enough of a baby to hate a film sight unseen based on the activism of the lead actor, then you do you, but your opinion is of no interest to me. Second, if you're loudly proclaiming your wokeness by saying any criticism of this film is rooted in misogyny, you do you, but your opinion is of no interest to me. If we can't somehow discuss a silly comic book film without immediately polarising to the extremities, why are we bothering discussing anything on social media? I say this because I have criticisms to share, dear listeners. Now, to be clear, Captain Marvel is not a bad film. It shares the base level of Marvel competence that their well-trod formula churns out. It passed the time just about adequately, unfortunately. Just like Black Panther, I can't be much more positive about it than that, and I admit that will give short shrift to those who feel that they can find some degree of representation in this, in a genre that's a bit of a pale sausage fest, but Wonder Woman was actually fun, and this, well, it's not the best script Marvel has given us by a long chalk. Look, I don't really care about plot holes in comic book movies because they are comic book movies, and to a degree it's part of the plot that there's no clear description or limit to the Captain's powers, but that doesn't explain why in one scene she's blasting through steel doors or spacecraft like they're papier-mâché, and in other scenes she's struggling to fight goons. I've appreciated a hand wave at least. More critically, and apologies to those that liked her, but here, Larson, to me, is most akin to a wet blanket, or at least an over-dampened pillow. There's a bit of a tell, not show issue here, as the film stops dead at least twice, and a little more organically a few more times, to tell us that Danvers is smart, strong, powerful, delightful and funny, and it really ought to be more concerned with showing us why she is these things. Particularly funny, and while of course that's very personal, I didn't chuckle once over the course of this film. She's doing everything else acceptably enough, though, and overall she's fine, but given the hype train around the film and the character, I'm not so sure fine cuts it. Support is solid. Jackson, Jude Law, Ben Mendelsohn, Annette Bening and Lashana Lynch all providing more flavour than the bland main course. It's just a shame that no matter how much mystery the script tries to build around Captain Marvel, she's just not interesting enough to care about. The greater conflict between the Krees and the Skrulls is rather more engaging, but necessarily takes a back seat to the lead character, which would be fine if there was more development on that axis. But the Larson that gets dropped from orbit at the start of the film is pretty much the same as the one that's dropped from orbit at the end of the film, and as a side note, if you want us to believe that there's even a fractional risk that the Captain won't fail, maybe don't have her falling from orbit and smashing into the ground as though it's a mild inconvenience. The rest of the film, well, as I say, has the usual Marvel competence in terms of effects work. Mostly, I'm not 100% sold on the de-aging effects used here, and while most of the time it's okay enough to keep Jackson out of the uncanny valley, poor Greg Clark looks like he was attacked with Vaseline and cling film. In common with seemingly every film these days, it's about half an hour too long, which in general speaks to a script that could have done with a few more review cycles. Look, it's fine. It's okay, it's a standard issue Marvel film, and for Lord knows what reason, the bottom does not appear to be falling out of that market anytime soon. This will slot comfortably into the lower middle of that pack, which isn't really all that distinct to Peloton anyway. But when Marvel Studio bods are saying Larson, Captain Marvel, will be the one leading the MCU post-Infinity imbroglio, I'm not convinced, but as it happens, I also don't care, so that works out swimmingly for me. Marvel film out of 5.
Well, we can all certainly agree with that. I don't know anything about that movie, Drew, and I haven't listened to Scott's review of it yet, so why don't you tell me?
Well, I quickly read Scott's review, so turns out Scott's review is quite like my review, so this will be fairly short for me. Captain Marvel's fine, I guess. It's okay. Yeah, as Scott said, the Marvel films are quite formulaic now, and that's in almost every respect. And so it means that no film tends to be particularly awful. they tend to at least have a base level of competency.
They meet a minimum. Yes, they meet a minimum standard, don't they?
They do very much feel like product rather than art, and this is very much one of those. It is. Excuse me. Sorry. Yes, it's fine. It kind of fits in visually with the other Marvel films. In this case, more particularly with Guardians of the Galaxy, although Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor, any of the space stuff seems to have a particular look, and the Earth stuff has another particular look. This is definitely more towards Guardians of the Galaxy for most of it, and it's fine. But as I've commented before, while it is competent, it tends not to be particularly visually distinctive or visually appealing. It's not an ugly film, but it does look like, like processed food. It's not always going to be awful, but it's fairly bland and satisfies at a very base level, but you often want something more and better. It has that problem to it. Talking of Guardians of the Galaxy, though, one of the bigger problems I did have with this film is that in Guardians of the Galaxy, the soundtrack was a big thing. The sort of very 80s inspired soundtrack, and that being used diegetically in the film as well. But there was a particular reason for that. It was important to one of the characters. It was a plot point and a character point. It feels like in Captain Marvel they've tried to copy the same thing, but with 90s music this time, but just because, well, it worked for Guardians of the Galaxy, let's do it here. And it doesn't. It fails. It utterly falls flat. And it's incredibly on the nose at points too, and start playing No Doubt's Just a Girl. It has nothing to do with what's happening, but it's, because it's this female superhero, and well, let's go to this hammer on this point really, really heavily. There's all of these things too, like campaigns to get money to get underprivileged girls to be able to go and see Captain Marvel. So you want to crowdfund to give Disney money? That's who you're giving money to. It's not helping girls, it's helping Disney. The megalithic corporation that are just taking all of the money in the cinema nowadays, and all of the copyright laws as well. Hey, Disney. People are talking about this being this great female superhero, and that's a good thing. Yet it's also not the first, because Wonder Woman was,
Warner beat you to it, man.
And it's considerably better. This film is in many ways quite insipid. Wonder Woman's really entertaining.
Oh, so would you rate Wonder Woman above this?
Oh, miles above this.
Really? See, I remember you guys liking Wonder Woman much more than possibly I did. I was really underwhelmed by it. I was hoping for a lot more, but I accept that I seem to be in the minority all round on that. So I was interested because some of the reviews I've seen of Captain Marvel, well, actually, in fairness, it's had quite mixed reviews. I've seen some really favourable reviews and then some like incredibly tepid ones as well. So I don't know, whereas praise for Wonder Woman seemed to be fairly universal, I feel like. So yeah, I was interested to see where this tops out kind of thing. So I am very interested in seeing Captain Marvel nonetheless.
Wonder Woman certainly wasn't perfect, but up until the bit where I always lose interest, which is where the finale of the film turns into a CGI monster battle. Up until that point, I was really invested and really entertained by it. This is like, it's fine up until the point it turns into a CGI monster battle at the end. And it's like, also the character more or less turns into Superman.
Yeah, as I understand, yeah.
Superman's really boring because he's basically a god. For the same reason, this character has the same issue, I mean, also, as Scott talked about, there's all the nonsense around it, most of which I've tried to avoid, and have been largely successful in, but all the campaigns and stuff, and all the butthurt people who seem to be offended simply because there's a film acknowledging that women exist, which strikes me as odd, always has struck me as odd. It's like, women are the majority of the people on the planet, but oh no, women? Really?
The thing is, the resentment only seems to kick in above a certain budget, as far as I know.
Yes, I know.
They're not complaining about other movies being made for women, it's just the notion of a woman going out and actually achieving traditionally male status, such as superhero. that well-worn, true-to-life thing, superhero.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's also, and a lot of it seems to revolve around people getting really angry at Brie Larson for the things she said. Now,
was this the thing about interviewers?
Yeah, and reviewers and things. And the small amount I've seen, like, So I don't know, Brie Larson seems like a bit of an arsehole, right? And she's got a bit of a point, but has not made it well and has really kind of mangled it and lost a good message in the way she's delivered it.
Yeah. She's maybe not fudged it in the Liam Neeson sense.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she comes across as a wee bit, the Scottish expression might be nippy sweetie. And that actually comes across in her character in the film. She's not particularly likeable. Scott described her as a wet blanket, which she's fairly she's there for a lot of the film, and the rest of it she just seems she really rubs me the wrong way, and that seems to be, from again the very little I've seen, seems to be something of her actual personality. But absolutely nothing she said or done warrants the campaigns of hate against her. And that's the really ridiculous thing. It's a film where a magic woman gets made magic by a magic space engine and then becomes magic. Oh, pitchforks now, let's burn the witch. It's ridiculous. And as I said, there has been other better representation before too, so I don't know. As for the rest of the film, it's fine. There's some of the CGI de-aging stuff that is on Samuel L. Jackson. It's actually pretty successful. It's only really given away when he runs. It's like, there's a 70-year-old man running despite the fact his face looks like he's in his 30s. In the 1990s. Poor Clark Gregg though. Oh, does
it not work out? So I haven't heard anyone talking so much about Clark Gregg's de-aging.
It's nightmare fuel, Craig.
Is it really?
Oh yeah. It's a different look, but you know how bad Jeff Bridges' floaty head was in Tron Legacy? Yes. It's kind of that bad.
Oh, that's a shame.
Different look, but that sort of level of nightmare fuel and wrongness. The rest of it, I don't know, it is in the Marvel universe, because there's some thoroughly entertaining films. This is a competent but still that's a damp squib. You have Lee Pace returning from Guardians of the Galaxy in the same role. Miraculously, what's the opposite of miraculously? Evil miraculously worse than he was in Guardians of the Galaxy 1. And the film just seems to suffer from a lack of consistency in character, for one thing. So it doesn't seem to know whether she's like a fish out of water on Earth where she doesn't remember her past, or whether she's just completely on board with everything else and understands everything happening. I was like, make up your mind. Does she have amnesia or not? There's no consistency there. And there's a montage, and I really don't think I'm spotting anything here because everybody's going to see it's probably seen it anyway, but there's a montage where basically the general idea is that this woman, she's got what it takes because she's been knocked down all her life, and then she gets back up.
Is no one ever going to keep her down?
No. She gets knocked down, but she's up again. No, they're never going to keep her down. Because does she drink a whiskey drink or a lager drink?
She drinks a lager drink, yes.
But so there's a montage of her getting up multiple times. Like, okay, Graham, I can see that was coming, and it's a kind of nice wee moment. But it seems that's her entire character development for the film.
Cool.
And the ability to stand back up again is a character trait. It's not character. It's so there's it needs more. I know that Scott actually found this overlong. Given that that's a drum I bang a lot, I'm quite surprised I didn't. I enjoyed it actually. I didn't really notice the running time of this, which was a surprise for me. But it's fine. So I wouldn't. And if you're interested in Marvel films, you're probably going to enjoy it if you've enjoyed a fair number of others. But it's so far away from their best films and their most fun films. I mean, there are some definitely funny moments in it. A lot of them involving a cat, curiously enough. But the rest of the dialogue is just absolutely honking. It's so insipid. And then has daft things like, trying to sound scientific, I guess, there's a dead alien at one point and the Earth authorities find him, and the guy says, whatever this guy's made of, it's not on the periodic table. Because physics are different in the rest of the universe, they don't have the same things. Okay, but I'm probably, in my normal manner, thinking too hard about that.
Fair enough. Right. I think we've spoken enough about that.
We have.